Yes, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. A lot of us think about getting married, and because, especially for the guys, they say, hey, there's too much fitna going around, and we need to get married. And a lot of times, what they don't think about is the responsibilities that come with getting married. Your expenses go up, and a lot of times they'll be still in school, and will be pretty much looking for a wife. And once they get married, then they realize, oh man, our parents were doing a lot more than what we thought they were doing, and life is not as easy as we thought, and sometimes it could lead to divorce. So goal of this video is to talk about what are some of the expenses that a person could be expecting when they get married, and just to get a reality check that life is a little bit more complicated than you think. And so let's start with some of the expenses that you get into. So, and again, in your city, wherever you're living, you'll have to customize this based on where you live, because in some places, expenses such as rent is not going to be same as another city. So let's look at what are some of the expenses that you are expecting. So number one, rent. Okay, this is basically budgeting 101 for newly weds. And you got food, and this is assuming that this is a single income family. A man, he's the head of the house, and he wants to make sure that he takes care of his wife and his kids, and this is a single income family, not a dual. So we talk about rent, we talk about food plus supplies. Again, more kids you have, of course your expenses are going to go up, but for now let's just assume that this is just a married couple, a husband and a wife. Then of course, if your wife is not working, then you'll have to give her an allowance, what some of us would like to call an extra jalbab, right? So you have to make sure you give her shelter and provide her clothing and food, and then give her some extra so she can do her makeup and buy something else without you without her being accountable to you. Give some allowance, okay? And we'll talk about what that can be. And of course, a good Muslim should not be forgetting about donation. Okay, what else? Assuming that you have a car already, maybe a couple cars, and they're paid off, but in the early stages, maybe that's not the case. You don't have $20,000 that's saved up, and you might end up leasing a car as well. But for now, we'll assume that you have your cars paid off. Maybe your dad gave it to you as a gift and said, go ahead, this is an old car, but go ahead and you can use it. So you don't have any monthly payments for car, any lease payment, or maybe you got a car for 0% finance. But for now, you will still have to pay car insurance. Okay, car insurance. And by the way, allowance can be for your mom as well. Okay, regardless of whether your daddy's a millionaire or makes humble income. I think now that you're a responsible person and you moved out, you should give her some allowance as well, regardless of whether she needs it or not. A little bit, $50, $100 or whatnot, but we'll come to that. So you got your car insurance, and then of course you live in a house. Whether you own it or you don't own it, you have to turn the light bulb on. You have to pay for the utilities. And apologize for the chicken scratch writing, but goal is to get the point across. Of course, you're gonna have cell phone. Okay, most of us are living a style where we don't have landlines anymore, so you'll have cell phone. And of course, this is not just your cell phone, it's going to be your wife's cell phone as well. Some of the things that you just can't get away from, such as internet. These are the expenses that our parents did not see. They probably did not have cell phone expense or internet expense or car insurance expense, and these are some of the necessities of life now that you'll have to get them. You have to subscribe to them. And then of course you have with your car, you're gonna of course drive it, and then you're gonna definitely have, if you live in a busy neighborhood such as some New York or Chicago, you might have travel card, a bus card, or subway, a card. But you'll definitely have gas if you have a car. Gas expense, okay? You're gonna be taking your wife out to eat, okay? You're gonna be taking your wife out to eat. Somebody comes out of town. Now you're a husband and wife. You're not living with your parents anymore. So when you go out, you're gonna be. And this is something that's just part of our culture. We have to have eating out expense once a week. Some of us, especially when we get married, are probably doing this twice a day. But let's assume that this is not too high, but you're gonna have to adjust it and see and track your expenses. That's the key. We can come up with budgets all day long, but you have to make sure that you track your expenses. How much are you spending? This was your budget. Did you go over your budget? Maybe just take out a certain amount of cash and say, this is for my coffee and me going out with my wife, or somebody comes out of town, taking them out to eat, but we're not going to go over this amount. So you got to have that. And then, of course, miscellaneous expense. Now, these are things that just come up out of nowhere. And trust me, when you are on your own, you're going to have expenses. And I'll give you one of them. Some of the miscellaneous expense could be light bulb went off, right? You're going to have to go buy that. And I'm not going to put that as my normal food and supplies expense. Now, when you go for somebody invited you over, you have to take a cake or something, right? It's not going to come out of your meals or food expense. That's just some extra miscellaneous expense. You might end up speeding and end up getting a ticket, and that was a miscellaneous expense. Things like that come all the time. And right now, remember, I'm not even including your leisure, such as your vacation expense, your trip to Lebanon or Pakistan. $1,400-$1,500 ticket right there. Or just your wife says, hey, we got to go for honeymoon. It's been 5 years since we got married, and you were in your college days, and now you got to take me out somewhere, and let's go to Bahamas for some reason. And there goes expense. These can be considered, so this is not even, I'm talking miscellaneous, just little things here and there that just come up, and they add up, and you'll be surprised. So let's go through some of those expenses. So rent. If you go to rent.com or some other website, you'll see that some of the apartments, even a single bedroom or two bedroom apartment in an okay neighborhood, depending on the city where you live. For now, I think, just to be on the safe side, I think $1,000 a month is, so some people might say, oh, that's too high, or some people say, no, that's too low, but it all depends on the city where you live. I've lived in an $800 apartment, which was in Texas. Texas is a low-cost state, and you're not going to find a decent living for $800 a month. It's the same thing in Chicago. With 50 years older, might be $1,200, and I've lived in two-bedroom apartments for $1,200 as well. And a little bit nicer might be $1,400. So you'll have to adjust it based on your income, but for now, an average will be $1,000. Food plus supplies. What do I mean by supplies? Supplies can be paper towels, toilet papers, toothpaste, your deodorant, and all this type of items, and plus food. Some people want to move to organic food because of your kids, and others don't. But either way, roughly, by talking to different people, for a couple, it is $500. $500. Okay, that's an average. Again, you can adjust it. And this is what I would do: is gifts. Let's say your wife is responsible for taking care of buying the food and supplies. Just give her $500 a month and say, this is it, and make sure that you buy all the food, the meat and spices and tissue papers and what have you within $500. And if you go over that, then we'll wait till the next month when the paycheck comes in. Allowance, again, you can adjust it the way, so I would say between your mom and your wife, whatever, I think $150, $200 in the beginning is a good amount. Of course, as you get successful in life, and this amount can go up, but $100, let's make it $100. Let's make it $100. Maybe you give 50 to your mom, or 50 to your wife, or your mom is too nice. He says, no, your daddy will take care of me. Then you just give $100 to your wife, and I think that's good enough in the beginning. As a fresh grad, not with a very high income, I think $100 should be your goal. Donation, regardless of what you make, Again, maybe if you're making minimum wage, that's a different story. But a lot of us who graduate from, we come out making 50, 60K a year. It's a shame if you're not paying more than $100 donation. At least make it a goal to give $100. Talking to different people, and insurance can go averagely from $150 to $300, $400, depending on how many tickets you got. But I think a good, depending on the state as well, but 150 is a good goal. Then we take utilities. Again, just by myself living in different situation, and from an apartment to moving up to a house and talking to different people, 150 is a reasonable amount. Sometimes your electricity will go up, sometimes your gas expense, your heating expense will go up. Some places you go water and trash is included, and some places it's not. But averagely, that's a goal that you should put down, that 150 is a reasonable amount. Again, in winter, your heating expense could be a lot higher, and you might not have any electricity expense, maybe just for your light bulbs. But in summer, you're paying a lot more for air conditioning costs, but there's no heating expense. Either way, you can adjust that, but this is an average amount that we're gonna put. Cell phone expense, usually now you can get an $80 a month, and of course you're gonna get it for your wife as well. So I think $160 is a good amount. This is probably the cheapest you can get. Again, maybe if your friend works for Sprint or some other company, you might be able to get a corporate discount. But overall, for 2 cell phones with an okay package, I think $160 is a reasonable amount. Internet, to be honest, right now I'm paying $20 a month, which is unheard of. But for most of my life, I have been paying at least $50 a month. So we'll put $50 here. Gas, again, depending on how long your drive is. There was a time when I was paying $450 to $500. Now my drive is only 20-25 minutes. So, and my car, if you go for Mazdas, then your gas expense is not going to be that much. So for now, I think $300 is a reasonable amount. Depending on which city you live, this might not be your gas expense. This could be your travel expense, the bus fare or the subway fare that you pay. But this is basically to get around the city expense, you can say. $300 is it. And again, right now, assume that you're just a robot. You go from your home, you go to work, you come back. There's no leisure, there's no travel, there's nothing. This is pretty much the minimum that a person should expect when they get married. 150, again, you might think this is surprising, but look, we're social people, and we do have weddings, we have Eid gifts that we have to buy, and sometimes you'll have $600 in 1 month expense because you had to buy gifts on Eid, and the rest of the time you might not have any. But overall, averagely $150 a month is your miscellaneous one-time expenses that just come up out of nowhere, whether it's a ticket or whatnot. Now, meals. There was a time when we would probably have no food expense, and all we're doing is eating outside, a student life. But that's not the habit that a good Muslim should have. You should have a lifestyle of cooking at home, eating good food, and making sure that this food expense is going down. One, because you're eating less and you're buying quality food and not eating too much. But either way, you're gonna have some meals expense. You're gonna have, let's say you buy one cup of coffee a day, that's probably $60 a month already just by coffee. So try making coffee at home. But from what I know, this just still goes out of control. Somebody comes out of town, it might just $50 in one day. But overall, again, we'll just put down, let's say $125. For some people, you'll look at it and say, this is way too low. You might be shocked. You might not have even calculated it. Just look at your bank account, count up all the tandoori town or what have you, whatever restaurant that you have, barbecue tonight, and add up all those expenses of Jamba Juice, McDonald's here and there. And even if it's $1 or $2 here and there, they will add up, and I can guarantee they'll be more than $125. So overall, based on my experience, these are some of the major expenses that a person has. And then let's see how much we came up with. So let's see how much it caught. We were coming up with. So you got 125 plus 1,000 plus 500 plus 100 plus another 100 plus 150 another 150 plus 160 plus 50 plus 300 plus 150. So overall, we're looking for a total of 20. That's 2785. Let's call it, about $2,800 a month. $2,800 a month. That's the minimum that a person is expected to pay. Again, it could be more or less. In most cases, I would say it'll be a little bit more than this. But let's on a very good day or a good month, you're paying $2,800 a month on your expenses. Now, let's see how much it comes out to when you look at it on a yearly basis. You take this amount, let's take this $2,800 times 12, and we get 33,600. Call it 34,000. After tax per year. After tax. That means that, again, this is you don't want to be breaking even either. If this is the expense that you're looking at, $34,000, I would say you should have at least $500 a month of savings, so you can go for Hajj. Okay, go donate a little bit more. Travel with your wife and kids somewhere, just quick small trips from one city to another. Of course, you're gonna have to pay for gas or maybe airfare or stay with somebody, but those things will come. And right now, I'm not even including that. $34,000 is just for you to survive with you and your wife. Again, not depending on your daddy, not depending on your rich father-in-law. This is just you as a man taking care of your woman, all on your own. And $34,000 is breaking even. Basically, you have to have $34,000 in order to take care of all of these things. And I don't think I have added anything extra. Right now, I'm not adding any, lease. Or let's say you find a car on 0% financing, add another $400 a month or so on top of this minimum. That's for like a Toyota Corolla or something out there. Or you have to pay a lot of down payment. Where are you going to get the down payment from? If you're making $34K and you're spending it all on these items, then you will have to have some extra savings on the side as well. And I would say if you save $500 a month, that's about, $6,000 or so. Let's see, 500 times 12. Yep, $6,000. So add another $6,000 to this. So you're talking, 40 to 45K. 40,000 to $45,000. That should be your goal. And once you have that, once you graduate and you're making this much, it's time to get married. All right. So, but the point of this is not to just look at, scare you or anything, but it's to let people know what's coming. Don't just think emotionally because you like a brother or you like a sister and say, hey, I really want to get married, and because it will increase my iman. But also, be a responsible citizen and make sure that you do all your numbers. And again, there are a lot of, so every month, every 6 months or so, you and your wife should sit down and say, hey, you know what, we are eating out a lot and we're getting fat, so we should be cutting down on our meals expense. Hey, you know what, we're paying rent for $1,000 a month. I think we should move to a certain area. It's closer to my work. It's gonna decrease our gas expense. And maybe we can rent a nicer place for $1,200, and our gas expense can go down to $100 a month. And this is how we can improve our lifestyle. Hey, you know what? I feel like donating a lot more. Maybe I should look up into different car insurance companies and see how I can cut this down. Hey, you know what? We gotta turn off the lights. Why are the lights on all the time? Turn off the lights. Hey, keep the temperature to a comfortable range, so our utility expense is not that high and we're still comfortable. And then, hey, cell phone, maybe it seems like our data plan is going out of control, and they're charging us a lot more. You're making a lot of international phone calls for whatever reason, hey, let's try to cut those down. There's a lot of ways that you can cut some of this, but for the most part, I would say this is something that you should have as a minimum. And if you go over it, try to reduce it to somewhat of this level. And again, depending on where you live, depending on how many kids you got. But overall, this is kind of just to give you a picture of how to do budget. Put down all the main items that you would have, write down how much it will cost you, and then compare that with how much you're making. And if you're making less than what you're spending, then it's time to either hustle and try to get a better job, or lower your expenses. Either way, let's try to be responsible, look ahead of what's coming, so you're not just thinking emotionally, but you're also thinking intellectually as well. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.